The last emotionally draining encounter. Is this what Cha Eun-woo said that made Jin cry? Tears are not uncommon in moments of farewell, but when BTS's Jin, a figure known for his strength and composure, cried in public, the K-pop world paused for a moment to find out what really happened. The emotional meeting between Jin and Astro's Cha Eun-woo, which took place just before Eun-woo's enlistment in the military, has now become a hot topic that raises more questions than answers. What exactly did Eun-woo say that made Jin unable to hold back his tears? Was this merely a farewell between friends, or was there a much deeper message conveyed behind the moment? The meeting took place in private, but several sources stated that the atmosphere was very quiet yet full of meaning. Held in a modest restaurant rented exclusively for the two of them, there were no management staff, no cameras, no crowds. Just two friends who would be separated by time and national duty. A trusted source from the South Korean entertainment industry revealed that this meeting was not just an ordinary dinner, but an emotionally burdened farewell session, especially for Jin, who had just completed his own military service. According to an internal source who wished to remain anonymous, the moment when Cha Eun-woo delivered his message to Jin was said to be the emotional turning point of the meeting. Eun-woo conveyed something very personal, even touching on the difficult times they went through in the entertainment industry. He asked for final advice from Jin, but instead, it was Jin who couldn't speak and ended up crying, the source said. Unfortunately, there are no official recordings or open statements from the agencies involved regarding the content of their conversation. However, Jin's expression when leaving the meeting place, with swollen eyes and a bowed face, was enough to indicate that the meeting was far from ordinary. The situation becomes even more intriguing because previously, the relationship between Jin and Cha Eun-woo is known to be very close, yet rarely publicized openly. The two were occasionally seen attending informal events together, but they never really spoke about their closeness to the media. This farewell became a rare moment that showed a different side of their friendship dynamics, a side rarely seen, a side that cannot be staged for media purposes. The main question now arises: what exactly was discussed that triggered such a deep emotional response? Some speculations have begun to emerge among fans and Korean pop culture analysts. Some say Eun-woo apologized for something from the past, while others believe that Eun-woo expressed concerns about his future in the entertainment world after his military service. However, a more controversial theory claims that Eun-woo told Jin about an important decision he would make after completing his enlistment, a decision that might involve the continuation of his career, or even his relationship with BTS both personally and professionally. In this context, Jin's tears can be interpreted as a response to an emotional burden that cannot be explained in words. Jin himself, although having completed his mandatory military service, is still under the shadow of great responsibilities toward BTS, toward the fans, and toward himself as a public figure. Seeing his friend about to undergo the same period, possibly while facing pressures just as heavy, is an emotional blow that is not easy to deal with. Meanwhile, the agencies of both artists have not provided any official statements. Big Hit Music only stated that Jin is currently preparing for new activities post-military, while Fantajo, the agency managing Cha Eun-woo, confirmed that their artist will begin his military service on a scheduled date without mentioning the exact date. Both remained silent about the dinner incident that ended in tears, as if giving space for privacy and emotional recovery. Public reactions were mixed. On social media, the hashtags briefly became trending topics on various platforms. Many appreciated the depth of emotional connection between the two, but many also raised the issue of mental pressure faced by K-pop idols in such situations. If even Jin can cry like that, then what happened in their conversation was no ordinary thing, wrote one netizen. Another added, "We often forget that they are also human, and goodbyes are still painful, no matter how strong they appear on stage." This issue also drew analysis from South Korean pop culture observers. According to Professor Kim Hyejin of the Department of Media and Cultural Studies at Seoul National University, moments like this reflect the emotional pressures that often lie hidden behind the glamorous world of K-pop. When public figures like Jin show emotions openly, it's a sign that there is something much deeper than just professional interaction, she explained. She also added that such meetings could become crucial points in relationships between celebrities that have been protected from media exposure. With so many unanswered questions, the farewell moment between Jin and Cha Eun-woo becomes more than just a personal story. It transforms into a symbol of emotional realities rarely spotlighted in the South Korean entertainment industry. Is this merely the beginning of a new chapter in Eun-woo and Jin's lives? Or is there a major decision they are keeping secret from the public? To this day, only the two of them know what was really said that night. But one thing is certain. When tears fall from the eyes of BTS's Jin, the world must pause and ask, what really happened behind that meeting? When the tears of a public figure fall in front of the public, the world does not just stop to watch, but also begins to question the authenticity of those emotions. In the case of BTS's Jin crying after his last meeting with Cha Eun-woo before enlistment, the moment sparked wide reactions, from deep sympathy to acute skepticism. However, behind the popularity of this narrative, a big question arises that cannot be avoided. Did this event really happen as reported, or is it just a narrative created to generate emotional waves for public consumption? We live in an era where the line between reality and media construction is increasingly blurred. When a short video on TikTok shows a clip of Jin's seemingly swollen face, without clear context of time and place, the public immediately associated it with that emotional dinner. Twitter was filled with fan analysis, netizen theories, and long threads dramatizing the interaction between the two K-pop idols. But is there concrete evidence that supports all of this? Or are we simply arranging visual fragments into an emotional narrative that fits our expectations as an audience? We do not deny that the moment might have really happened. However, as a responsible media outlet, we also remind that this news comes from several unofficial platforms such as TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter, which so far have not provided direct confirmation from the agencies or official representatives of both artists. There are no transcripts of conversations, no photos or videos that convincingly prove that the meeting occurred with the emotional intensity as described. Therefore, it is reasonable for the public to be asked to remain skeptical, to question, is this reality or a scenario? Media critics in South Korea, in their reflective columns, have repeatedly warned about the phenomenon called emotional engineering, where public emotions are manipulated through seemingly authentic narratives, but actually designed to build emotional connections that can boost visibility, sympathy, and even consumption. Are we becoming victims of that strategy? Why did this farewell moment go viral so quickly and with collective emotional resonance, even though there was not a single official statement? If we examine more deeply, isn't it odd that not a single major Korean news outlet like Yonhap News, Dispatch, or OSCN covered the meeting directly or cited official representatives from Big Hit or Fantajo? Are we only receiving pieces of information from fanbase accounts, viral content editors, and TikTok creators who may have an interest in increasing engagement? It is time we ask, why do we easily believe narratives that rely on emotion, but do not question the lack of concrete evidence? Is the tear of an idol more interesting to talk about than a rational clarification from an official source? Has our entertainment industry turned sadness, vulnerability, and farewell into covert marketing tools? More than that, the public also needs to evaluate the role of social media in shaping collective perception. When many social media users share the narrative Jin cried because of a secret message from Eun-woo, they also contribute to spreading information that may not be true. Even comments like, "Oh no, poor Jin," or "something must have happened between them," reinforce public assumptions without considering the possibility that all of this is just an emotional interpretation of incomplete information fragments. Do you really believe that this dinner moment happened as described? Or are you starting to see that this event may have been packaged in such a way to create a certain impression on the public? We are not saying that this information is false. We are simply inviting you not to believe immediately, but to investigate further. IT is important to understand that in the world of the entertainment industry, especially K-pop, emotions are commodities. Every tear, smile, and hug can be recorded, packaged, and sold in the form of content that is economically profitable. So, how can we distinguish which expressions are authentic and which are engineered? We also invite you to reflect on the other side of this event. How does it impact the two artists themselves? Does Jin feel comfortable being the center of public emotional speculation? Is EU